Hello everyone, welcome to the Muffs Archive. I'm Muffs, and in this video we're creating Fakemon out of random attributes. The way I did this was by creating 4 different wheels with random attributes and characteristics, aspects that describe Pokemon and that are usually included in each Pokemon's Pokedex entries, for example. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe to support my content, and if you like Pokemon content, art content, and just want to support a small artist, you've come to the right place. The first wheel just had random categories that you can give to Pokemon, like is it an Ultra Beast, a legendary Pokemon, does it have more than one evolutionary stage? The second wheel was for the typing of the Pokemon. In this case, if in the first wheel it doesn't land on dual typing, then all of the Fakemons I have to create will be mono-typed, I guess, so only one Pokemon type. Then the third wheel is which one of its 5 stats is going to be its primary stat, so it's, I guess, focus if it were to be a more competitive Pokemon. And I also kind of used this logic of if a Pokemon is focused on HP, for example, it's going to be a bit more sturdy, heavier, kind of like following the examples we see in the actual process of designing Pokemon for the original and official games. And then the last wheel had just the aesthetic of this Fakemon. So is it creepy, cute, clean, futuristic? I'll explain those a bit further in the video, but anyway, just like that we got our first attributes for our first Fakemon of the video. So we have a Fakemon that has to have more than one evolutionary stage. That's gonna be a psychic type, focus on the attack stats, and it's gonna have a clean aesthetic. Getting the actual concepts and ideas for this video was easier than I thought it would be, so I immediately thought of doing a 2-stage Pokemon inspired by Sphinx Cats. And why Sphinx Cats? Because I have one. I have a Sphinx Cat. Her name is Nala. She's 2 years old, or about to turn 2 years old as of the recording of this video, and I just feel like she's such a grumpy but also cute and caring cat that I just had to make something inspired by her eventually when making my own Fakemon. So this is it. This was the perfect chance. So I'm making a psychic type Sphinx Cat that is kind of aggressive, or at least good in battle, but it's aggressive in a way that shows how protective it truly is of those who it truly cares about. So it uses its psychic powers and strength in a way to protect those who deserve it. When I talk about clean aesthetic, so the last attribute of this Fakemon, what I mean is that this Pokemon cannot have overbearing details, it can't have a confusing design, and it has to be simple. So a short or small color palette helps, for example, not mixing different textures and kinds of details and overall physical aspects in the same design. So I just want to follow a simple feline, cat-like Pokemon design with purple as its main color, and in the case of its evolution, so the second evolutionary stage, it's going to introduce a bit of yellow in its design. But once again, the 2 designs I created for this Fakemon are not confusing, I guess. I mean, at least I feel like I was able to accomplish a simple and clean design with this Fakemon. So let me introduce you to our first Fakemon, Sphy, the fearless Pokemon. The name Sphy comes from Sphinx and Eye. Its type is the psychic type, and you can also see its stats. I just want to shout out the website Pokemon Stat Chart Maker, which was the perfect website for me to create the stats for these Pokemon. I did have to do a bunch of digging and research in order to understand how to make stats for my Fakemon, but that's not really the purpose of this video. Let's just get back to the actual design and the actual Fakemon. Its ability is Magic Guard, which makes it immune from taking indirect damage, or it protects the Pokemon from indirect damage, so this means that it won't get damage from poison, burn, leech seed, spikes, or stealth rock. You get what I mean. And the description I wrote for this Pokemon is this one. Despite its grumpy demeanor and look, Sphy is caring and protective of those they care about. It uses its psychic abilities to enhance its physical strength and be more confident in battle. Sphy's evolution is Rayynx, the mighty Pokemon. Its name comes from Ray, Eye, and Sphinx. It's once again a pure psychic type and has the ability Magic Guard. Rayynx awakens the full potential of its psychic abilities and becomes a powerful, all-seeing Pokemon that modified its body to achieve the title of a protector of those with a pure heart. So for this evolution, I wanted it to be a bit crazier, if that's how I could put it. So this body is not as proportional as the one you see in, I guess, real life cat. So its back legs are actually bigger and its back is always curved, and it doesn't have a tail anymore. Its head is detached from its body, and those like golden rings you see, I kind of based them off of Hoopa, and I imagined them as like a materialized item from Raying's psychic powers. So these rings are a weapon, but also the things that channel its psychic power to, I guess, out of its mind to use its psychic powers in battle. It gains more eyes, but then its real eyes are always closed and only open when it has to channel a bigger quantity of power, and it starts taking a toll on its body and its energy. Our second Fakemon is probably the craziest one I did for this video, because the attributes I got were these ones. It has to be an Ultra Beast, a grass type, focus on the special attack stat, and have a creepy aesthetic. So for this design, my mind immediately went to wood carving or wood sculptures, because that's something that I feel like is so impressive. And my concept was, what if someone, a creature, carved a wood body, a body made of wood for itself, in order to hide its true form from the outside world? Pokemon Sun and Moon are, to this day, the Pokemon games I've played the most. And I don't know what to tell you. I feel like Alola as a region is a bit overlooked sometimes. It's my favorite Pokemon region. It has my favorite story, lore, and characters, and as soon as I saw that wheel land on Ultra Beast, I was so happy about it because I really wanted to make an Ultra Beast for this video, or for a video in general, but I was also a bit scared because I never really thought of the design language behind Ultra Beasts, because Ultra Beasts are not designed in the same way as regular Pokemon. Ultra Beasts are usually a bit creepier, a bit more detailed, but at the same time, most of them have humanoid features, but not enough humanoid features for it to become weird. They're just an unsettling group of Pokemon or creatures inside the Pokemon world. So, with all of this said, I created UB Carver, or Wupika. Its name comes from wood, peak, and peekaboo, and it's a grass-type Ultra Beast. Wupika is a rather small being that hides itself behind a body made of pieces of wood and plants merged. Its true form is hidden inside this carved piece it created, and it is a very shy but somewhat curious one who is always watching its surroundings, peeking through a fake smile. So, if you look closely to my design, you can see there's like two white eyes peeking through the smile that its face has, and I feel like that was such a great addition to make this Pokemon unsettling, creepy, and go away from the norms of designing a regular Pokemon without it becoming too much. I hope you understand what I mean by this. Like, when I say creepy aesthetic, I'm not necessarily making a horror character, a horror Pokemon, because like that's not really what you see in the Pokemon world. But again, Ultra Beasts are indeed a bit unsettling and scary, so I wanted the colorful forest and tropical-like color palette for Wupika, but I also wanted the creepy wood face that has two little eyes looking at you or looking at its surroundings through what probably is, again, as I mentioned in its description, a fake smile. And the ability Beast Boost, by the way, is an ability that is common in all Ultra Beasts, so I did not want to change that. And my third and last Fakemon for this video had these attributes: alternate forms, so it has to have more than one form that it can switch between outside or inside of battle, I'm not really sure. Then it has to be an electric type, focus on the special defense stat, and have a futuristic aesthetic. And oh my god, this one was probably the most difficult one for me, because I had so many different ideas, but again, I couldn't make them look like they were made out of steel, for example, or too mechanical because it's a pure electric type. So I started looking through animals and I stumbled upon iguanas. They're so, oh my god, I don't know how to tell you this, but they're so majestic in some way. A lot of people are gonna disagree with me on this one, but I really like seeing reptiles. In Portugal, in my country, in Lisbon, we have a zoo and they have a section for reptiles, and I'm always so amazed by the beings and the animals that are there. And iguanas, well, what else is there? Like the Komodo dragon, I think that's how it's called. There's so many like things there that are so impressive to see that just make me amazed, I guess, and I really wanted to make an electric iguana. But since it had to have a futuristic aesthetic, but at the same time have alternate forms, I don't know, I kind of had a tiny bit of a headache coming up with this concept, but I eventually got there and I created a Pokemon that has a resting form and then a, I guess, true form. And what I mean by this is that this Pokemon is gonna have a resting form, so it contains its electrical abilities and power inside its body when it's not in battle, and it just releases everything and reveals its true body and its true form when put in battle or in difficult situations. So here is Guazap, I don't know how you want to call this guy. It's a pretty cute guy, I'm not gonna lie. I really like these drawings, they're very crazy. Anyway, this is the resting form of Guazap, and the name Guazap comes from iguana and zap. It's a pure electric type, and in Guazap's resting form, it can levitate by containing its electrical power to become lighter and faster. Its trainer can use this Pokemon as a living flashlight or charger. So what I actually mean by this, its trainer can use it as a living flashlight or charger, is that I kind of imagine people using Guazap's resting form as, again, a huge flashlight, since it can emit light from its body to explore a cave, for example, or even something as silly as charging your phone. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, what the hell am I looking at? This is not an iguana. But oh well, let me argue against that and tell you that this is an iguana's head in a futuristic way, but that doesn't necessarily look like it's made out of steel. I hope so, at least. So, as I just read, Guazap's resting form is containing its electrical power, and it is now lighter and able to levitate. I know it's kind of crazy for a Pokemon that doesn't have necessarily like a psychic or flying type and abilities to levitate, but I thought it was an interesting and intriguing concept. I wanted to apply it to Guazap. And now let's move on to Guazap's all-out form. So, in Guazap's all-out form, the electricity it stores inside its body is released, revealing its real appearance. It is slower but sturdier, and touching its body for too long can leave someone paralyzed. This is why its ability is the ability static, which makes its opponents be paralyzed when they hit it with, I think it's physical attacks. But there's also like a chance, there's like an algorithm behind this, so it's not certain, but it can happen. I really wanted to go crazy on this design specifically, but again, I feel like the two alternate forms I created for Guazap are not too different, because technically it's just a head gaining its full body when it switches out to the other form, and I didn't really come up with a way to switch between forms. Maybe it's something like an item that triggers the other form, or a move that triggers the other form, or the switching between forms aspect of Guazap. But anyway, I'm not really sure on that one. Maybe I'll come up with that reasoning or the way you trigger Guazap's alternate forms in a later video about my Fakemon. I mean, this is my first video making Fakemon, and I hadn't drawn Fakemon in a while. This is making me think of 2016 when I started taking drawing seriously and I started making my own Pokemon region. Maybe I'll bring my Pokemon region back and include all of these Pokemon there and think of a cool story that I can showcase in my videos, but that's for another day. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you all liked seeing Svi, Rayinx, Whoopika, and Guazap, and I'd like to know in the comments which one of these Fakemon was your favorite. And if you want to try out this challenge by spinning the wheels with random attributes to make a Fakemon, go ahead. It's such a fun exercise and it really challenged me, honestly. And I feel like it's something that is pretty good for those artists who like Pokemon and want to experiment and take their abilities further, or just go crazy with their ideas and concepts, which was what I tried to do with this video. Anyway, I'm Muffs and I'll see you in my next video.